And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at an expansion to Photosynthesis called Photosynthesis Under the Moonlight. Photosynthesis is a great game. I love this game. It is a game in which you are collecting light for your trees, growing those trees, and well, that's pretty much the game, scoring points for harvesting the trees. Under the Moonlight adds animals. Ooh, animals in the forest. Adds the moon. Ooh, the moon. So this seems like an obvious kind of expansion. I never thought Photosynthesis needed an expansion, but hey, I was willing to try it out. So here is how it works. So there are technically 3 modules in this expansion, but it's really not. The one module is just this great tree. You stick it somewhere and it blocks that spot. Also blocks light, just like the big trees do. So if you thought the board was too wide open, you can put this out. I will never use this. The game's already critical and crunchy and fighty enough. I don't know why this is included, other than, hey, it's another tree. There's also moonstones that will also block spaces, but a moonstone is the size of a small tree, and the moon, when a moon hits it, it will spread its light around it, and that's the second module. But that matters with the moon. So when you play with the moon, each player is going to take an animal. Here we got the owl, badger, etc. Each of these animals, you get a little board here, and you'll get a little moon token to show how many moon points you get over the course of the game. You'll start with a couple, and then your special abilities are printed on the boards, and you can spend them to do various things depending how many you have. How do you get moon points? Well, this is where the moon starts at the beginning of the game, and this token here is to show where the moon is going to go to next. At the beginning of each round, each player has these animals on the board, and if your animal gets hit by a half moon, you get 1 lunar point. If it's hit by a full moon, you'll get 2 lunar points. On a player's turn, they can move an animal 1 space, trying to get in the path of the moon. As the sun rotates, so the sun moves here, for example, then the moon moves to where this token is, and then this token moves 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It moves counterclockwise while the sun is moving clockwise. So here you can see the moon is going down here and here. But when the moon hits the sun, it's going to switch from a half moon to a full moon, or from a full moon to a half moon. Now, that's pretty much it. Like I said, if these are in the game, the moonstones, it would hit those, and everyone around it gets a moon point, or in this case, 2 moon points. Now, what can you do with these moon points? Well, it's different depending on what animal. The owl's the simplest one. It can just change moon points into solar points, lunar points into solar. And the squirrel can eat other people's seeds, taking them directly off the board when you get enough of them. The fox can attack someone else and steal some of their points, or just scare their animal away. The beaver gets to build a dam, so this piece comes with the game, and you'll place it here, and the trees there will grow, and if you have a tree on a dam, the beaver can make it grow again. There's the turtle, which is kind of the coolest one, I think, because the turtle has all these tokens that you're going to spread around the board. And when a turtle spends points, they can take these tokens and then use them later on to grow trees or to get double something or other. Yeah, they're all different. The turtle's the most interesting of all the animals. Then some of the animals can make trees grow for free. Some can plant seeds for you. Each one is mentioned in the rule book here. There's detailed descriptions on them. So that's pretty much it for the expansion. It includes the moon and the small moon. I will say that having the moon move on these in-between points here is problematic. There's no spot for it here on the board. And so many times, like you saw, for example, when the moon was here, and this token's here, and this is here, I move this here, I have to move this off, put it on top, and then move this over. Well, first move this here and move there. That's fiddly. You may not think it's fiddly, but I promise you, if you played Photosynthesis, you would think moving the sun around is nice and easy. That's more problematic, moving that around. This is kind of just in the game. These are okay. Now, the actual meeple pieces for the animals, these are amazing. These are fantastic. This is what's going to draw people to the game. They're really cool. These boards are fine. You know, they're nice, shiny lunar boards. They're the same on both sides. And I'd really like that they show you where your powers happen, how many points you spend to get a power. It's 4 points to do that, to use one of those turtles that you found, your baby turtles. But I mean, you could be here at 8. You don't have to be on that spot. But this just shows you the costs, which is a nice thing I think that the game does. The components are fine, and you'll be able to fit all them in the base box. Well, sadly, I did not care for this expansion. I mentioned there that moving the sun was fiddly. And that is kind of the buzzword for this whole expansion as a whole. It's just fiddly. It doesn't seem to add enough oomph to the game for how much extra work it adds. Moving that moon around is a pain. Moving the sun around is kind of cool. I am moving the sun. Here you have to move the moon, then move that 5 markers. You're moving it opposite, picking it up over the sun, flipping it every time it crosses the sun. And I know every time I talk about this, someone says that's not that big of a deal, but it really is. Then that combined with the animals who don't have, there's no really player guides. You have to look in the rule book to remember what your animal does. But once you figure out what they do, they're just not that interesting. Each of the animals has like some special abilities. So, for example, I played the, what was an animal I played here? The badger. The badger can make a seed grow into a small tree in its space. That's what its special ability is. Or it can make a seed grow into a small tree, and it can come right from the player board. So what it does is it slightly ups my tree growing skills. The problem, okay, that's kind of cool. It like gives me a special ability no one else has. The problem is I'm constantly moving the badger around all the time, trying to get into the moonlight to get the lunar point. Then I get the lunar points, and I got to move the badger to the right spot where the seed is and make that grow. I can do all that. I'm not saying it's not possible to do. I can do it. But when I'm done, I'm like, woo-hoo, I saved a few points. Even like the very obvious one, the owl, I just get some lunar points and then change them into sun points. Actually, I think the owl's my favorite one just because it is that simple. None of the powers, the turtle one is cool, but none of them feel like, whoa, look what I just did. And if they don't give me that feeling, then why do I have this whole extra set of rules? Because that's the whole expansion. I get that people want to move these around. Not to mention 2 of them, the squirrel and the fox, are very take-that-ish. And the game already is a mean game. Photosynthesis is not a nice game. You are blocking each other's sunlight, putting trees up in front of other people, trying to get to other spots. I'm going to go back to my original assertion that the game doesn't need an expansion. If it does get one, though, this is not the one. This is not an expansion that I want to play again. Moving the moon is a pain in the neck. Using the animals and their special abilities gives you so little payoff for so much that you put into it. And then there's the tree and the moonstones, which aren't really that interesting. It's just, I don't think a lot of people are going to love this one. I might be wrong. If you're a huge Photosynthesis fan, this may change up the game enough for you. But I am a big fan of the game. I think it's fun, but I thought it was a nice abstractish style game. I mean, the Photosynthesis theme is great, but it's a kind of, you're using your light points to build trees. Very straightforward. This adds more without adding more fun. I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. Dice Tower Judgment, much ado about nothing.